Hi, I'm Joe, and I just wanted to share this quick little video presentation here with you because I've been doing some research into various aspects of investing and finance and the economy, which has been a sort of a passion of mine lately. And I've inadvertently stumbled across some major changes taking place in our economy that I'd like to share with as many of you as possible because it's going to have a massive effect on you and your family's financial future. So, right now, the economy and the stock market are, as you can probably see, starting to grow again and, people putting money back into the market. But the reality is that the financial world as we know it is going to be changing radically in ways that we can't even imagine. Now, I can't tell you when exactly, but I know it's coming. Probably in the next 6 to 36 months or so, it's going to happen. So, right now is a time that you might want to consider really starting to educate yourself and deciding, is this a time to really take some stuff that you've made investments with off the table? And I'm telling you this because I want to just give you some things to consider, and then you can go ahead and make your own decisions. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not a financial planner or anything like that, nor am I trying to sell you any form of stock. I'm just a guy who's been doing some research and has stumbled across a few things. Now, the sad truth is that, unfortunately, more than 98% of our population is completely oblivious to what's going on, through no fault of their own, really, because this stuff just isn't talked about anywhere. It's not talked about in mainstream media or financial publications, The Economist, Forbes magazine, and the like. Even many industry professionals and CPAs and the like aren't aware of these issues, and certainly not talking heads like stupid ass Kramer on CNBC or anything like that. Actually, the top 1 to 2% of the folks who are aware and are positioning themselves to benefit are composed mainly of the richest and most super elite members of society who are involved with associations and mastermind groups whose membership fees are well beyond what ordinary people like you or I could ever hope to afford. And I mean, like, we're talking potentially up to like multiple tens of thousands of dollars a month in some cases. So I'd like to encourage you to go ahead and eliminate all of your outside distractions and just give me the next 10 minutes or so of your undivided attention so that I can go over all this with you. So go ahead and close down your MSN Messenger, log out of Facebook and Twitter, turn off the television, close the door to the room you're in, grab a pen and piece of paper real fast. If you need to, go ahead and pause this video right now and go and do all that and then come back and join me again here. Sit back and allow me to elevate you to new heights of understanding and bring you into that circle of those top 1 to 2% of savvy and well educated professionals who have managed to position themselves and their assets to make what is essentially a small fortune, while most people have lost a big piece of their portfolio or a substantial part of their retirement, and how you can begin to do the same. So let's look at some logic real quick, and then you go ahead and do your own homework, make your own decisions, and whatever you decide, that'll be your own decision. I'm not here to tell you what to do, but I do want to alert you to a few things, which is why I'm putting up this real quick video. So here's the deal. On the surface, most people think that the whole root cause of this recent economic turmoil is the direct result of the busted housing bubble a few years back, which resulted in massive credit contraction. And while that is indeed the case, what most people don't realize is that the inevitable implosion of the mortgage industry and the credit crunch is actually just one of several factors contributing to the situation, and that the other ones are actually much larger. And the reason for the haste is that the biggest disasters always bring about the biggest opportunities, which is why more people actually became millionaires during the Great Depression of the 1920s and 30s than any other time in history. And I think that is just freaking awesome. So the only difference between then and today is that the scope of the disaster and the scope of the opportunity for people like you and I is just like 10 times greater than it was back then. So, since the beginning of recorded history, every major empire like America has gone through a 7-stage life cycle which you can actually track by the state of its currency. So, in stage number 1, a country starts out with good money, which is either gold or backed by gold, and this is the case going all the way back to the days of the Roman Empire, like back in 200 AD, where they actually had gold and silver coins. And in modern times, the US currency was backed by gold up until 1971. Now, stage number 2 is that as a country develops economically and socially, it begins to take on more and more economic burdens, adding layer upon layer of public works projects and social programs like food stamps, for example. And then moving into stage number 3, as a nation's economic affluence grows, So does its political influence, and it increases expenditures to fund a massive, massive military. And obviously, this is really easy to follow, as in the case of Russia and the United States back in the Cold War, right? And in stage four, eventually, these nations put that military to use, obviously, and expenditures absolutely explode. And we saw this first in the Cold War, again in the Iraq War number two, and now the War on Terrorism, obviously. Okay? Well, stage number five comes into play at that point, and in order to fund these wars, which are essentially the costliest of man's endeavors, these nations start to steal the wealth of their people by replacing their money with currency that can be created in unlimited quantities. And we saw this happen in 1971 around the era of Vietnam and President Nixon when the US went off of the gold standard. Okay? Now, this typically happens at the outbreak of a war, as in the case of World War I, during a war, as in the case of Vietnam, or as the perceived solution to the economic ravages of previous wars, as in the case of Germany after World War I, and it could in many ways be stated in the case of the United States today with the War on Terror. All right? And that leads us to stage number six. And at this point, the wealth transfer caused by the expansion of the currency supply starts to take place and starts to be felt by the population as severe consumer price inflation, triggering a loss of faith in the currency. And that leads us to stage number seven, the final stage. And at this point, an en masse movement out of the currency and into precious metals, commodities, and other tangible assets takes place. The currency collapses, and a massive amount of wealth is transferred to those who had enough foresight to position their money into the right asset classes beforehand. Now, if you go back and think about where we're at today, we are currently right here, smack dab in the middle between stages 6 and 7. So, the primary symptom of stage 6 is price inflation, and during the most recent calendar year of 2010, we've already seen massive spikes in the average commodity price due to inflation of 46%. Now, that's everything bundled together on average. Some things like cotton as much as 100% in price inflation, and that is just a minor hint of what is to come. Okay? So, obviously, if inflation is stage number 6, it's here, and we're starting to see it in a very big way. But we haven't moved into stage 7 yet. That's going to take place in the next 6 to 36 months or so. So, knowing all this stuff back in 2007, a well-educated person would have been able to position all of their money into certain asset classes that increased in value, and as the economy and the dollar sank, they would have earned excellent returns of 200 to 300%, while most of the world lost 30 to 40% of their portfolios and retirement funds. And if history is any indicator, I expect that 200 to 300% number to actually end up closer to this or more in the next 36 months. So here's the critical piece to pay attention to. This move from stage 6 to 7 has already begun, and it's going to represent the largest transfer of wealth in the history of mankind, because we're now a bridged global economy, and this is affecting every nation around the world. And what's going to happen is that all that wealth is going to transfer from the people who don't understand what's going on to the few who do. Okay? And I count you in that category of people who do know from this point forward, now that you've seen this video. Now, if you just keep standing still and doing what you've been doing, stage number 7 represents bankruptcy for you. I'm sorry to say, you end up on the losing side of the wealth transfer. But if you position your assets correctly before we get to stage 7, and you can start to do that right now, all of the wealth of the world is going to be transferred into your hands proportionately. So, make no mistake about it, this gap between stage 6 and 7 is the opportunity of your lifetime. And if you want to get the full story and the full timeline of what's coming and how to position yourself to profit, my good friend Mike, who has been studying the economy and investing like a madman since 2007, is preparing a 90-minute webinar presentation, and he's going to be posting it online in the next week or so that will change the financial destiny of you and your family. All right? It's not going to cost a dime. It's actually going to be free. And whether you know it or not yet, watching it is going to be the most important item on your to-do list next week. And I'll just give you a quick sneak peek of what's going to be in the presentation. The first thing you're going to learn is how you can get extremely rich during times of economic turmoil, even if you don't have a lot of money to invest. If you have $30 to your name, you can get in the game. Okay? What's going to happen with the economy over the next 6 to 36 months that is honestly going to bankrupt, unfortunately, the vast majority of the global population, but how you can protect your wealth. All right? And this is just food for thought. This process has already happened in 30 different countries during the last 100 years alone, and twice in the United States. So this isn't some like doomsday thing that's never happened before. 30 different countries in 100 years and twice in the US already, and it's about to happen again. All right? You'll learn how Mike has increased his wealth by 280% in the past few years. He's actually going to go into detail and show you that while most people have lost their portfolio, and you're going to learn how you can get on the flip side of this and how you can prosper as well. Why you'd be absolutely freaking nuts to put your money into the stock market right now, except for a few very key stocks, and we'll go over all that as well. If you have a retirement fund of some sort that's got you down at the moment, you're going to learn a secret black box investment strategy that the rich use to grow their money and retire 100% tax-free legally, even if the stock market crashes to zero. All right? If you're tired of seeing your retirement go down with the stock market, this is a very simple solution for you that will bring you returns just as good or better than the market without any of the risk. Okay? You're going to learn the top 5 challenges facing the economy right now and how to protect yourself from all 5 of them. Now, you're going to love this next one. You're also going to learn how you could have turned $20,000 into $770,000 in pocket change in the course of 9 years in the years 1971 through 1980. And that cycle that happened then and the investment that was in play then is in play now again, and even more so today. And I'm going to say to a potential factor of about 10x. Okay? So substantial, substantial, substantial stuff that you need to get involved in here, or at least know about. So finally, you're going to learn what's going to happen soon to make the price of silver, in my opinion, jump from what is right now about $29 an ounce to $900 to $1,000 an ounce, and gold from around $1,400 an ounce to $56,000 an ounce. And you're going to learn why that's going to happen. And finally, you're going to learn how you can ensure that your children are going to grow up wealthy, even if you're poor today, all right? Even if you're dead broke today, you're going to learn how you can ensure that your children and their children leave an unbelievable life of financial prosperity, all right? If you've ever wondered how to buy cash flow assets like apartment complexes, we're going to have an incredible opportunity coming up in the next 2 years as real estate bottoms, because it hasn't yet. And if you don't know how to get involved in that or take advantage of those opportunities, you're going to learn how to do that. And finally, you're going to learn about the 3 things that you have to have immediately, and I mean like between now and the end of the month, if you want to profit from the largest wealth transfer in human history that's taking place right now, today. All right? So, the bottom line is that I am absolutely disgusted by what the banks, the politicians, and the Wall Street sharks have been doing to the great families of North America, and I'm making it my mission in life to provide as many people as possible with this valuable education on money, investing, and the economy. So, to get free access to the video next week, just enter your name and email address into the form on this page, and I'll send you the link to it the moment it goes live. It's not going to cost you a dime, and I absolutely can promise that it's going to change the way that you look at the world and the way that you look at money forever. So, guys, thanks for your time today, and if you resonate with this message and this mission, please share this page with those you care about. www.freehotinvestingtips.com. I would appreciate it tremendously. So thanks, take care, and we'll talk to you soon.